They called him Eli. They made fun of him. Her orthopedic shoes, her gray hair, and the heavy beat and the dull sound it echoed through the hospital corridors. The British mayor, Dr. Preston Hayes, Nurse Meredith Sullivan was here. An obstacle, a relic of the past. He delayed the perfect emergency room and tried to do so. He forced him to retire early. They humiliated him every day. But Dr. Hayes, he didn't know the bone he was laughing at. Not injured in a car accident or car accident waterfall. Crushed in Korangal. Navy SEAL defense shield mortar fire. He didn't know it was him. Until that day, legend would mock him. The commander entered. His voice was like this. Unknown. Blurry, scratchy, blurry, scratch. It was a metronome. West Wing Trauma Center in Providence, Seattle General Hospital. Meredith Sullivan's voice goes down. Quantity. Meredith was a 54-year-old man, despite his deep lines. Engraved and permanent around her eyes, his narrow jaw made him look older. I wore a lot of cotton clothes, maybe it's to hide the attached strong bracket. On her left knee and her orthopedic shoe it looks like black bricks in comparison. Beautiful and colorful sneakers for those who wear them. Young nurses. For patients, she was an angel. Her hands, strong and it was very firm inside, trampled. Hospital. She was able to get a vein in the hospital. Ultrasound is based on dehydration. The car broke down. She, a child of fear, sings a song. It seems a little good, but for employees who expressed their new aspirations, especially Dr. Preston Hayes, that was it. Speed up, Meredith. We save a life, don't take Sunday. Walk, Dr. Hayes shouted without looking. Meredith on the iPad while moving a heavy cart with salt water on the way to bed. Dr. Hayes was 32 years old, he was a wonderful Yale man. Perfect teeth, expensive hairstyle, and an ego that is barely broken. Double doors. He was there recently. Appointed as chief resident, appointment he swung like a stick. He despised it. Incompetence, and for Meredith Sullivan's definition was ineffective. Doctor, I have a discharge, Meredith said. Her voice was rough, low, and hoarse. Without frustration. She was used to men like Hayes. I've seen men like him before, green, noisy, and you are sure that they are immortal. He stayed for 4 minutes. Hayes looked at his condition. Look, you're blown away by the theatricality. The benefits of 3 apprentices, in a row like ducks. Nurse Chloe works. I have been here twice. The effectiveness, the difference between dismissal and firing tomorrow, Meredith. Maybe we should do it. Considering a transition to or from aged care to aged care, a gift shop somewhere. Slow. Apprentices, she laughed. Chloe, 23-year-old nurse with bright pink hair, looking down her legs, her face swelling. She loved it. Meredith. Meredith from no medication errors were reported in the past week alone. He reported it, but no one objected. Dr. Hayes. Meredith didn't back down. She didn't blink. She just turned off the 4 bag, she pointed with fluid movement. It's almost like he was very used to it. Invisible, and adjusted the drop size. The patient's blood pressure is stabilizing, doctor, he ignored the kick and said. I noticed it was him. Production is low. You might want to check. Before taking for kidney stress contrast. Die. Hayes grumbled. Hated it. When she was right. And she always was. Okay. I don't need a patient exam. A nurse who can walk. Sullivan, do your work quietly. He rubbed his hair. From her side, looking over his shoulder. It wasn't that hard to throw him away, but with her bad hip condition, it was enough for her. It made her stumble. She grabbed the blade. She is fidgeting with her fingers on the bed. White. A sharp electric energy shot. From her left hip to her ankle. A magical memory of metal and fire. "Be careful, Eli," Hayes called. "It's back over his shoulder. Don't break it." Hip. Documents are a nightmare. Meredith balanced herself. Deep breathing, familiar sense of smell, antibiotics, blood and fear. She straightened her cotton shirt and adjusted it. "Go back until you reach the spine and connect together." She agreed and continued her work. Later that night, in the break room, Meredith was sitting alone, rubbing her thighs. Rain, Seattle and tail window. A voice saying, "He's a fool, Mary." He grumbled from the doorway. It was Gus, the 60-year-old cleaner was pushing a bucket of water, an unsteady door. Gus. She was the only one who called her Maria. "He's young, Gus," Meredith said. He drank hot coffee. "I think it's about treatment." The smartest person in the room. He thinks. The treatment is about him. Gus is fixed. She staggered to sit across from her. Gus, he served in the Navy in 1991. Vision, 1,000-year-long vision. What did Meredith notice in the mirror? Every morning. "Why don't you tell him or tell the HR team about this weakness? I know there's a problem. I feel very sad when I see one. You don't understand." Falling off a bicycle. Meredith smiled, a slightly sad expression on her face. Her lips. "No matter where they are, it won't change." It came from Gus. "It's important that I'm the only one. You can still do the job. You do the job. Best of all," Gus spit. "I saw him. With the victim of the shooting last week. The way you bandaged that wound with a cloth. It wasn't a nursing school issue. Field medical stuff." Meredith's eyes a little stiff. "Gus. Good. Everything. Okay. I'll keep your secrets." He stayed up, his knees shook. "But one of these dates when the golden child will be postponed, you are so far away, and I hope to see you there. You're breaking it in half." "I'm not breaking it, Gus," Meredith said, looking into her dark eyes. "Coffee. I insist, but it has consistency. Limit." And in Providence General, the border was approaching faster than it should have. Meredith understands. The hospital board staff renewal announced a program aimed at reducing costs and human resource modernization. Dr. Hayes appointed as head of nursing performance reviews. The next morning, Meredith found an envelope inside. I'm sure it was an official announcement. Compulsory physical fitness review. She looked at the letter. It was a trap. They couldn't fire her because of her age, and her record was perfect. So Hayes was trying to get him fired. About her body. He wanted to make sure it was her. She is physically unable to fulfill her duties. He put the letter in his pocket, the small, wrinkled saint, hand-woven. She placed the Street Christopher medal there. The game. Come on, doctor, she whispered. The competency assessment is intended for Friday afternoon 2 o'clock. The busiest time. Emergency room. It was a calculated move. Hayes. She wanted you to get tired before. I'll start. The test was embarrassing. At the physiotherapy gym with the doctor. Hayes and Human Resources Director Ms. Gable, look at the signs. They did it. He lifts boxes weighing 50 pounds. They made him work. CPR compressions on a doll for 10 people without stopping for minutes. Meredith did everything. She wiped her face. She becomes pale, like the pain in her legs. She screamed like a banshee. But she didn't scream. Stop. The rhythm she had on the CPR dull. Perfect. 100 beats per minute. Strong and quickly. Live. But she wasn't in the gym in her head. Seattle. Thinking back. October 2009. Korangal Valley, Afghanistan. Dust. It was suffocating. It tasted like a crush. Bloodstone and copper. The sound was deaf. The sound of AK-47 bullets. When it passes over the top. Heavy machine gun fire moving. Lieutenant Meredith Sullivan is included in nursing corps attached to the front section. FST surgical team returns to knee after surgery. A crumbling mud wall. But she wasn't there. It is expected to be very distant in the future. The convoy headed towards an ambush. The leader, the Humvee, was on fire. We need a doctor. We have a man downstairs. Open. Viper 2 is out of order. Radio. Cracked. The bark worker is dead. The closest SEAL operator is blocked, the captain is pulling. Meredith didn't. I think she didn't analyze the danger. She saw blood spray. She ran. She ran to her with the medicine bag. Open ground. The bullets razed the ground. She had covered her boots. She had entered the hole where the two SEALs are located. Shelter. Who are you? The captain screamed. He was bleeding profusely. On the neck, but continued to put pressure on the neck. Sergeant's femoral artery. Captain's artery. I read the name tape. Mercer. I am your best. By chance, Captain Meredith called. Mortar explosions. Move your hand. He went to work. A job packing in a tornet. A quick clot. She did it right. Car. But then the whistle came. At the entrance. The mortar did not hit him. A hole. It hit the wall next to them. The explosion threw Meredith back. I felt like a hammer. He hit his left thigh. The world, then it became white, then red, then black. She woke up, they dragged her away. Captain Mercer pulled him over. He hit him on the shoulder, but she pulled it. Her leg was twisted. Impossible angle. The leg. It has been exposed. I understand. Dr. Mercer took a deep breath. I caught you. Don't kill me. You saved me. My friend. I will not leave you. Again. Jim, Meredith shivered. Time. Dr. Hayes. She called out angrily. Meredith. She stopped the compressors. She was taking a deep breath, sweat pouring off her. Her nose, her feet, the intensity with which her vision was blurred. Okay, Hayes said, tapping his pen. Compared to memory. Technically, I met the physical requirements, but I notice a lot of doubt in you. Movement at the time of departure, and you were obvious breathing difficulty. I finished my homework, Meredith said with difficulty. Standing up straight despite the pain. Never, Hayes joked. Meredith, look. Tell yourself. You're destroying your body, and to be honest, it's ugly. Patients want to see the liveliness. Health. To see you walking around, it destroys morale. MS. Gable, who comes from human resources, seems uncomfortable. Preston, he passed the test. We can't. Hey, I'll leave it at that. It's broken. One mistake, one missing. AR, delayed response to code, she's out. For the patient's safety. Meredith approached him and lowered her hand. Mrs. Gabe, don't make a sound. Sullivan, I'll get you out of here. You are a broken toy. Go home and knit. Meredith looked into his eyes. It was piercingly icy blue. It had one eye. A woman who closely follows the Taliban warlord. I go home when my shift is over. The doctor is finished, she said in a soft voice. A while ago. Hayes laughed and walked away. It was out. The next week was hell. Hey. Meredith appointed the worst shifts. He gave her the hardest fight. Patience. He took her criticism of the map into consideration. In front of the families. He did it again. Correctly performed procedures. The other nurses began to keep their distance. They themselves were afraid. Spray damage. If you are standing nearby. Meredith, Hayes is targeting you too. Only the new apprentice, Chloe, was standing nearby. And quietly help him lift heavy weights patients when Hayes doesn't want them. Why? Will you stay? Chloe whispered one night. On their site, watching Meredith puts lidocaine cream on her waist. Under the table. Clinic, office work. Why do we accept this abuse? Meredith looked at the triage board. It was full of car accidents, overdoses, heart disease. Because, Chloe, Meredith said, when things are really bad, I don't want the best person. Hair. You love someone who doesn't love you. Shocked. And I never get shocked. But hey, Hayes is a peacetime Dr. Meredith. He is wonderful when he has textbooks. Work, but chaos comes. It always does. Doing it. And 3 days later, chaos ensued. Rainy Tuesday. It started with a phone call. From the head nurse. Code black. Mass casualty incident. Intercom. Knife. Load on Highway 5. Many damage. Bus diversion. Arrival time 5 minutes. The emergency room quickly began to operate. But the second call was made on the protected network. Line. Usually the red phone. It was gathering dust on the center table. Dr. Hayes knew this. Heard, his face turned dark. He hung up the phone, looks like he's panicking. Change of plans, Hayes. His voice cracked a little. It has a warm and welcoming VIP transport helicopter. Accident cases to Seattle Grace. We are struggling with a terrible situation. Bays 1 and 2. What? Meredith traveled. In the future, we cannot change the direction of a bus that is overturning. We have the capacity. It comes from Department of Defense. Sullivan. Hayes suffered a loss. Classified delivery. High-value target. We are limited. Security is currently searching the area. Meredith het en rilling Jevol. Duty vervor. Reliable line. The sound of the rotor blades. Hit the roof and the dust coming off the roof tiles. There was none. A swaying news helicopter. It was heavy. Whoop 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 whoop, the sound of an army changes in this. Ambulance area, double doors, it's open. Paramedics usually run quickly. This time, men dressed in tactical black, the weapons went in first. He guarded the passage. Then he came. The slider was not a soldier. Gunny. This was a man in the park, gay hair, holding his chest, there was an oxygen mask on his face. Surrounded by people who seemed to be surrounded by 4 people, they were carved from granite. The beards, oak wings, scanning eyes, everything. Robe. Meredith froze. She knows that look. She knows what they look like. Dr. Hayes took it a step further. He adjusted his white coat and put it on. The doctor's face on television. I am Dr. Hayes, the head resident. I control. One of the operators. A giant of a man. Thick red beard, heavily armed. Hayes without stopping. Outside. On the road. Now we need a safe room. Dr. Hayes tried. There is a myocardial infarction. The main cause. The operator yells. We need a catheter lab. They brought the man in yesterday. Emotional trauma 1. The power in the room killer. These people were armed, terrified. For VIP and their clean running adrenaline. Dr. Hayes followed them in fear. Rich tech executives, and there were politicians, but no one owned it. Target protected by level 1 operators. Meredith stumbled into the door of Danger 1. She saw Hayes trying. The room was in disarray. His hands were shaking. He trembled when he tried. Angry patient. Gave him the anesthetic, Hayes. He screamed. He started to struggle with the tube. Blood pressure. He's getting weaker. A nurse shouted. 70 left. 40, press EPI. Hayes shouted. No, Meredith. She spoke in a whisper from the doorway. In the midst of the commotion. Hayes turned. Sullivan, get out of here. Look. Meredith said over the veins in his neck, he should enter the room no matter what. Armed guards, they beat him, and the airway is distorted. Not only that. Heart failure. He has high blood pressure. Pneumothorax. Maybe it's from late autumn. Attack. When you stabilize him and insert the tube, the positive pressure in front of you reduce chest compressions, they'll kill him. Hayes looked at the monitor. To the patient. He looked at Meredith. He froze. The textbook has a heart. Attack. The signs were confusing. I didn't know what to do. The display. He began to cry in the twilight. A huge operator with a curly red beard. He pointed the gun slightly at Hayes. Get ready. Now. Hayes was shocked. Oh my. Laryngoscope. Meredith didn't wait. She didn't ask permission. She moved. The room was hanging in a state of silence. Panic. The monitor beeped in unison. A note of stabbing. A song of death. The VIP member at the table turned blue, his useless chest congestion in the lungs. Dr. Hayes stood up. Paralysis. Laryngoscope hanging. Like a dead bird from his weak hand. He was a textbook creature and controlled areas. It was chaos. It was a war, and it was succeeding. Meredith didn't go. She was shaking. Her body weight was thrown forward, her evil. His leg drags a lot, he ignores the flash. Pain in the back. The red-bearded SEAL cried, he raised the barrel of the gun towards her. Stay away from him. Meredith didn't even see him. To the gun. She went straight in. The operator's eyes were open, full of panic, full of desperate desire to defend the case. He said. The lung collapsed, Sergeant. Meredith. Scream. Her voice changed. The turtle's rough and kind voice away. That was the sound. He shouted at the mortar fire. Korangal. It was a commanding voice. If I were you. Don't let that chest out for 10 seconds, he. The heart will stand forever. Do you love it? Am I dead or do you want me to work? Foka hesitated. He felt something inside him. He saw the eyes of a woman with gray hair. Change. That rare and undeniable step. This happens when there is a fighter. He lowered the barrel an inch. Do it. He grumbled. Meredith didn't. Waiting for Hayes. She didn't wait. Clean gloves. She held a .14 caliber cartridge. Angioedema injection from the wrecked car. Hey, move. She said, looking at her hips. The confused doctor was moving away from the road. The expensive silk shirt was torn, buttons flying around the room. There are no breath sounds in the chest. On the right, the track is in. Left, tension pneumothorax, the one caught in the chest was cruel. Heart. She found the second one. Intercostal space midclavicular line. Her hips were touching his side. As the cart leans forward, lift. She gritted her teeth. Pain. Without anesthesia, Hayes in trouble. He found his voice. You can't just hit. Dad. Meredith said. Injection in the chest. Loud whistling sound. The escaping air filled the room, audible. Even during the chaos. Remove the tire. Turn off the display immediately. It has changed. The flat voice has stuttered, then there was a sound. Beep beep beep. The patient's shortness of breath, deep and irregular breathing in the hungry lungs. The paint began to dry. To change from cyanotic blue to pink. The pressure on his heart eased. Meredith ordered oxygen. But she didn't. She looked at Hayes. She looked at Chloe, apprentice. Take it now. He coughed. She shook off her shock and put on the mask. Squeezed the patient's face, the bag. In a rhythmic manner. Blood pressure increases, the nurse the monitor rang, and her voice tremor. 60/90, sinus rhythm. Meredith tied the needle. With a tape measure, her hands moved nervously. A speed that belies her age. She looked at the patient's pupils. Her wrist. Finally she stood up. Right, clean the blood stain. Her face. Her footwork. Now it's intense, the adrenaline is gone and leaving behind a severe neurological disorder. She grabbed the electric wire to stop it. The room was quiet. The red one. He looked at the seal that the beard bore. The needle was in his chest. He looked. He looked at the stability control. Then he looked. For old women who wear bone sandals this is on the contrary difficult. Of course, Meredith whispered. He is in stable condition for transport in a catheter. Laboratory. Dr. Hayes closed his eyes. Color. He turned his face and saw his own face in front of him. Arrogance. He understood the danger. He passed by. He realized that it was getting colder. And what's worse is that he realized that everyone had seen him. He adjusted his coat. He adjusted his coat. His throat is a good grip, Hayes, his a firm voice. I was about to grab it. That process. You expected me to be me. Sullivan, I suggest you be a little more aggressive. But he saved him. He went. Seals. Gentlemen, as I said, I have stabilized the patient. We can move him. Now. The silos haven't seen Hayes. They were still looking at Meredith. You, Redbeard said, approaching. She. Meredith lifted her head wearily. Yes. Where did you learn to inject? Is that what decompression is like? He asked. His voice was low, suspicious. Nursing school stick. It was a field. Stick. Aggressive. Fast. Meredith. She corrected her scorecard. I was a nurse. Long time no see, sir. I'm catching up. Hayes stepped in between them. The nurse stepped in between them. Sullivan is one of our senior staff members. She's a little bit cruel. Around the edges. I apologize for that. Lack of protocol. I'll write it down. To complete a doctoral degree direct consent process. It's a matter of responsibility. Vula was right. Clear contempt for Hayes. Responsibility. This is when she saved the senator's life. I lag pantalonet, Dr. Hayes. The blood has turned red. I am the main one. Resident. I was busy reviewing. We are. He moved. Foka interrupted him. He touched him gently. The communication headset. Main, the package. Stable. We're going to intensive care. Yes, we are. It was a situation, but it was handled by local. Turn the chair around. They said he passed by, and Red Beard stood nearby. Meredith. What's your name? Meredith, she said. Thank you. Meredith. Then they fled and went away. The silence in the room was terrifying. Heavier than lead. Hayes slowly turned to him. His eyes were cold, hard holes. Humiliation burned him alive, and he needed a target. You think you are. Hero, he whispered, leaning closer to her. You, so that others don't hear. I was humiliated in front of the federal government. Agents. They put a patient at risk. Careless cowboy behavior. I saved him. Life, Preston said, taking advantage of himself. Give a name for the first time. And you too. I know this. You've practiced medicine without it. Permission. Hayes smiled. Cruel and thin. Smile. And these are the basics of being present. Sullivan, I'm leaving my emergency room. Go home. Don't come back until you hear. Medical board member. Meredith stood up. There, the sounds of the hospital on her head. To the trauma hospital where she worked for 15 years. You're making a mistake, she said. He spoke in a soft voice. The only mistake was Hayes. Answer, you haven't been fired for 6 months. Before. Go outside. Meredith didn't argue. She didn't argue either. I shouted. She easily took off her cleaning hat, it shows her messy gray hair, and she went to the dressing room. She rolled over. Now a prominent, heavy, sliding door. This reflects her weakness. She changed. Her clothes on the road, her woolen sweater, and jeans with pockets around them. She took her waist. She took St. Christopher. She put the medal around her neck. He was discharged from the hospital in 2012. It's raining in Seattle. She's not crying. She was too tired to cry. She only felt emptiness. Chest pain. It wasn't right, but life was rare. She threw it in the trash. Korangal Valley. She was sitting on a bench. Check out the bus station and see the ambulances. It screams in the chest. Although in the hospital, the storm was not. Above. On the 4th floor. Critical Care Unit, VIP, Senator Arthur Sterling, President of the Senate. The Armed Forces Service Committee. It was fixed. The whole arm was working. Isolation. Men dressed in wool and silk. Tools. I wandered through the corridor. During the wait, a man standing in the room looking out window. He wasn't wearing tactical gear. He was wearing khaki uniforms for naval service. Captain's uniform 06 my neck. His chest was heavy. Ribbon, Navy Cross, Silver Star, a Purple Heart with 2 stars. It was long. With gray-colored hair temples and the symbol that passes through them left eyebrow. Moved with the hunter. Even though there is little strength, the ash it was his right shoulder. He was a captain. Elijah Mercer, the man responsible for this details. Captain Mercer, according to Sitrep Miller. Without turning around. The little boss. Officer Miller, the red beard. He's taken a step forward. The senator is in stable condition, according to Mr. Cardiologist, the stent weight. Sandboss. It was close. If only they hadn't squeezed it. Oh, he's dying. Good job in an emergency. Mercer nodded at the port. Wasn't it the port? My lord, said Miller. He moved. Unpleasant. The harbor is frozen. The nurse, an old woman who was paralyzed, lost her leg. He got up and hit him with a 14-gauge shotgun. His chest was like he was punching a ticket. He saved his life. Mercer returned. A nurse. Yes, sir. His name was Meredith. Dr. Hayes, this fool, tried to stop him. Then I heard him. She is threatening to fire her. He practiced his profession without a license. Mercer eyes closed. Hey, the boss. Resident, real work. He was. He thinks more than his own selfishness. The senator's oxygen level. Mercer was affected. You know. Something about the story. He recalled the memory. A nurse who was aggressive. Field treatment. Injured leg. You said it. Did she roll? Mercer asked. Yeah, bad. 1. The left leg pulls this. But when it goes the action began, she moved quickly. Eyes, boss. You know the eyes. Mercer felt a ghost inside me. His shoulder. He remembered the heat. The dust remembered. A voice remembered. He yells at him to wake up. I wandered on the earth. Captain, I understand. I understand. He shivered. His head. No, it couldn't be. 14 years ago. Halfway around the world. Where is she now? Mercer asked. I think so. My master ran. The doctor kicked him. Outside. Mercer adjusted his jacket. Miller, stay with the senator. I'll go find him. Emergency room. Do you want a safety list, sir? No, Mercer said, his voice ringing. Octave. I just want to talk. Dr. Hayes. It was Dr. Hayes who was in the emergency room. He felt like a victor. Will. Currently in the nursing station, which houses the courthouse interns and the hospital administrator, Z. Thorne. It was a secret act, Hayes. The matter has been explained in great detail, voice. It was Nurse Sullivan. It's been festering in the mind for months. She was shaking today. She was shaking physically. He asked me to go to the patient. This he was very lucky that she didn't take his penis. Heart. We have to stop protecting him. Hospital from the lawsuit. Mr. Thorne, A. A worried man in loose clothing, shaking his head. Wild. Of course, Dr. Hayes, if you say she's a danger, you say she's gone. I prepare the documents. Okay. Hayes smiled. It's for the best. We need a new beginning. Here. New blood. Sorry. Voice. It was like grinding gravel on concrete. Hayes returned. He found himself looking at a box full of medals. He looked up and up at the iron gray. Captain Mercer's eyes. The emergency room is out. Silence. Everyone knew who the army was. He had employees, but this man different types of authority. Are you a doctor? Mercer. I asked. I am Dr. Preston Hayes, director. Resident Hayes said, chest. How is the senator? I guess. The group's stabilization measures effective. Your team. Mercer repeated. He approached him. He didn't shout, but his presence filled the room. The operator tells me it's frozen. He tells me. A nurse saved the senator. Hayes laughed. He's scared. Ah, fog of war, Captain. Witnesses may be unreliable. The nurse who supervises the procedure, Mrs. Sullivan, she was indeed raped. Protocol. I just opened it. Disobedience. Mercer looked at him intently. You fired him. She was a burden. Hayes shrugged. Old, slow. She has permanent damage. This makes it ideal for working with traumatic situations. To be honest, it was an act of charity that kept him going. Until then. What kind of damage? Mercer asked in a soft voice. Something with your waist. It could be arthritis or a fall problem. She's walking. Like a turtle. It's embarrassing. The department is very calm. Mercer is very calm. A hip injury, Mercer said. The left side. Hayes seems confused. Yes. Why? Mercer. He put his hand in his pocket and took it out. Phone. He touched the screen and brought it up. An old photo with thorns. It was a room. Photo from 2009. Dusty group bearded men standing in front mountain ranges. And in the middle, he smiled, dust falling on his face. And there was a helmet hidden under her armpit. A young woman with bright blue eyes. Mercer looked at the photo and Hayes. Explain it, Mercer ordered. Gray hair, about 5, messy voice. Listen, Captain, I don't understand why. The fired nurse is your problem. He ignored it and turned away from the meeting. Nurses. He noticed Chloe, who he looks at her with wide eyes. Mercer pointed. What is her full name? Meredith. Chloe Cicero. Meredith Sullivan. Mercer rolled his eyes. Second. He took a deep breath. As he walked open, room temperature it seems to have dropped 10 degrees. Where is she? She went to the bus stop, Chloe said. Mercer returned about 20 minutes ago. For Hayes. You fired Meredith Sullivan. You called her a burden. Hayes insisted on his faith, though. She was shaking. She was the only one. This is what Mercer said, his voice burning in the emergency room, leaving, so every patient, doctor, and cleaning staff I stopped listening, that's all I created. I will stay here today. This commander of the left wing in the Navy Nursing Corps, retirees, and that leg she was mocked, she didn't hurt her, she got into trouble. Supermarket. Mercer moved very close to Hayes. The doctor returned to his prescription. He took a grenade as big as me. She punched me in the groin while I was waiting. From a mortar explosion. 300 pulled me. Inside the medical helicopter with a fever it was destroyed. The silence in the room during the emergency was of course. Hayes' jaw dropped. Chloe. She covered her mouth with her hand. Bronze Star winner with bravery. Mercer shook his words to Hayes. She's a legend in the groups. What about you? You fired her because she was leaving. Slowly. Hayes stammered. I didn't know. It's not in her file because it's her. Honestly, Mercer murmured. Like you. Mercer recently gave a speech to those who did. Make sure you get to the elevators. Be sure. Perimeter. Mercer ordered. I'm on my way. He looked back at Hayes. Last time. And you, doctor, start. Pray for her to forgive you. Because if she were you, no, I assure you it is the only one. Sometimes what is experienced is the opposite. Hamburgers. Mercer retreated and began to march. At his own pace, to the exit doors, he was in debt for a long time and deliberately. A debt that has been overdue for 14 years. The rain in Seattle fell steadily. It wasn't raining. It was cold. Oatmeal using Meredith's fur coat in seconds. She sat on the metal seat of the bus. Stop, shivering. The cold has penetrated. Her left hip, which produces titanium pins, the pain is dull, throbbing. Her heartbeat was consistent. A puddle at her feet. 30 years of nursing, he saved countless lives, and she, trembling on the street corner, the needle is thrown away as it was used, because she wasn't pretty enough for the doctor. Hayes' new emergency room. Finally, tears came, very hot and full of anger. She mingled with the rain on her cheeks. He put it in his pocket. St. Christopher medal. She thought maybe it was right. Maybe I'm just a broken remnant, a thin remnant. Black SUV with tinted windows, the way of watering pedestrian crossing. Stopped on the right with a bang. In front of the bus stop, which street? Meredith was shocked. She held him tightly. Her bag, a feeling bursting inside her. The passenger door opened quickly. A man got out. Outside in the rain. He has a tent. He wasn't a runner. It came with a cover. Deliberate action, and it was very well known. Captain, the man from the trauma unit. Meredith stood up, her legs resisting. Sir, the hospital is headed that way. You're asking, I'm not asking. There is the hospital, Captain Mercer. He stood 3 meters away from her. Rain, he is wearing his uniform. Wetting the shoulders, the straps, but he didn't close his eyes. I'm looking for the lieutenant. Meredith Sullivan, United Nurses Corps, United States Navy. Meredith's breathing stopped. She hasn't heard that title for 14 years. That woman no longer exists, Meredith said, her voice trembling. It's me. Only Meredith and I were fired. Mercer looked at him. He looked very closely. For her. He studied the lines in her. His face, his gray hair, and finally her eyes fell on her left leg. I remember the dust, Mercer said in a soft voice. I started to panic and was bleeding rapidly. Do you remember the mortar attack? I remember you. You were flying backwards. I thought it was you. He died. But then you crawled. Meredith looked at the memory and looked back. Shining and fierce in her mind. You're drawn to me. Mercer. His voice continued, filled with emotion. Your leg is broken. It was you. I scream every time I move, but you pulled me in. You put your body on me. When the second volley hit. You took it. Fragments of a hand grenade intended for my head. I'm one step closer. I spent 3 years in rehab. Meredith. I was looking for you. They told me. They have been released from the hospital. You won't give me your contact information. Classified. Privacy laws. Block. It. He stretched out his hand and took them. It was hot and heavy. I had a wife. Now I have 2 daughters. Their names are Sarah and Emily. Mercer's gray eyes shine with tears like rain. It cannot be hidden, because they exist. You. My whole world exists because of you. She refused to give up. Meredith felt tears welling up in her soul. She squeezed her throat. She squeezed his hand. Captain, I was doing my job. No. Mercer shook his head. Dr. Hayes was one. Work. You serve. Well, Meredith pulled her hand back. Gently, and wipes his eyes. I don't use it. Elsewhere. Hayes confirmed that. He said I was a burden. Mercer Siegspress het verharden. The sadness has disappeared and been replaced by cold, sharp iron warrior. He called you disabled? Mercer asked in a soft voice. He said I was ugly. That's when I was scared. Patience. Mercer adjusted his uniform jacket. He signaled back to the SUV. The driver is waiting. Meredith, he said. Get in the car. What? No, I'm leaving. Inside the house. No, Lieutenant, you're not going. Inside the house. Mercer opened the back door. We'll go back to that hospital. I have a mission to complete, and I never ignore your teammate. Captain, please. I can't face him again. He is. Mayor. He has the power. Mercer. He smiled. But it wasn't a nice smile. It was a wolf's smile. It has a title, Mercer said. I have a battalion of SEALs. And a United States Senator. Let's see. Their strength is very important today. Meredith looked at her. Open door. For the first time in 4 years, she felt a glimmer of what she wanted. He thought he was lost. He felt proud. She shook her head. At once. She got into the SUV. The emergency room at Providence General was in condition. Nervous tension. Presence detailed information for military security. Everyone is worried. But Dr. Hayes, he felt safe. For the worker's story. Meredith has broken, a patient fell into danger and they bravely intervened to save day. It's very sad, Hayes said. He told a group of nurses, Central Station. The problem of dementia is coming. Quickly. We must be alert. Automatic doors at the ambulance station. It opened with a loud voice. The conversation. He died instantly. Captain Elijah Mercer. He went inside. He was not alone. He was surrounded by there were 4 security personnel. Detailed, fully equipped, moves in diamonds. Formation. And in the middle formation, walking with your head held high despite her severe physical disability, she was tall, Meredith Sullivan. She's not wearing anything. Her clothes. She was leaving. Clothes, wet hair stuck to her. The front. But the way it went, it was not an easy task for a tired old woman. Not anymore. It was a patriotic march. Back to the line. All emergency rooms. He stopped. The doctors stood in the middle of the card. Patients are placed on stretchers. He saw them coming. His smile faded. Captain, Hayes called as he walked. In the future, I'm trying to regain control. I think there was a misunderstanding. Ms. Sullivan is no longer an employee. Here. She is committing a security breach. The hospital tenant pointed out the police, one the teenager, Kevin, watched. To the seals and decide wisely he checks his shoelaces. But Mercer stop until nose-to-nose hey. Security detail deployed, create a circle around them. Station. It was a quiet and eerie place. Show of dominance. Dar. Hayes, Mercer said the sound is spreading quickly. A quiet room. You told me. Nurse Sullivan before she was fired for disability, because it is responsibility. That's right, Hayes said, hearing his voice. She screams a little. She physically, is that so? Mercer turned to him. He understood the people. He understood the hospital. The manager, Mr. Thorne, came. Scroll down to see what the fuss is about. Approximately. Is this Mr. Thornton? Mercer asked. Yes, yes, Thor said angrily. I love you. To hear this, said the mayor. He held it in his hand. There is a pocket in the jacket and a small one. A velvet box. He broke it inside. He places a gold medal on a blue ribbon, Navy Cross, the second highest military award ornament, St. Titus, only for bravery, under the Medal of Honor. A man was out of breath. In the room. That, Mercer said, the medal is held by the Navy Cross. He was awarded for his most extraordinary act of heroism. In war. I took it. Movement in the Korangal Valley. She turned to Meredith. She was shaking. I look at the medal. But I don't take it, Mercer said flatly. On the right, I should have been there when I died. The wars in Afghanistan. The only reason I returned home, the only reason I stayed, we are here to defend Senator Sterling. Because Lieutenant Meredith Sullivan, he didn't let me die. He gave his love. Eyes burning on Hayes. You were teasing him. Limp, Ale, Mercer said, his voice flowing. With hatred. He called her ugly. Do you call her that? Doctor, do you know what that paralysis is? The price of my life. She took a bullet. For me, she pushed her body to escape. That ugly move is the worst. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Hey. It was light. He looked around the room. The nurses looked at him. Meredith looked at her with admiration. I was losing my room. This is it. Ancient history. Hayes mocked. Here at this hospital, she violated protocol. She is slow. She has been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. When looking at pneumothorax, a monitor under a deer's headlight. Mercer shouted. My doctor told me. Everything. You were shocked. She took action. Doctor, you saved me not only in 2009. We saved the head of the armed forces. The committee deliberated today. Mercer spoke. Meredith. He handed the box to one of them. The crowd and took a step back. Attention on command. Mercer shouted. Command reflex. The 4 seals in the room attracted attention, and so did their boots. Linoleum floor with it rings like a gunshot. Even Gus, the caretaker, leaving the swamp, stood beside it. From the vending machines, his attention straightening his back, Mercer stood stiffly. He quickly raised his right hand, a perfect greeting. He looked with his eyes closed. Not by Meredith. Lieutenant Sullivan, Mercer said in his own voice. It's a little damaged. Thank you for giving it to me. Life, to my family. Greetings. To the room was silent for 10 seconds. The seals greeted each other. Then slowly, Nurse Chloe took a step forward. She was crying. She didn't know how to say hello. As it should be, but she raised her hand to her front. Then another nurse, then paramedics. Meredith was standing in the middle. The tears of the circle finally flow freely. She was not an invisible turtle. No more. He is dead. She slowly straightened her back, fighting back pain. She looked at Mercer. She looked. He returned the greeting with a shaking hand. "Are you ready too?" Mercer called. They lowered their hands. Mercer went to Mr. Thorne, the manager. "Sir." Mercer's voice is quiet now, but dangerous. "Senator Sterling is awake. He was informed about the situation. The woman is not happy to hear this. The man who saved his life was fired from his job. Arrogant boy." Thor paled. "Aren't you satisfied? Senator, donate to this hospital, Mercer. There is a new wing of horror. But one situation." "Nothing," said Thorne. "I'm out of breath." "Something," Mercer pointed out. "For Hayes." He. In silence. The emergency room was getting crowded. Dr. Preston Hayes stands alone. The middle of the floor. Workers, nurses, those who talk excessively, instinct-driven technicians. He leaves him on an island, far away from him. The result of the investigation. The hospital administrator, Mr. Thorne. He looked at the Navy captain and then the capacity of a senator's checkbook, and finally with Dr. Hayes. Thorne was a man. It was not a moral or mathematical education, but a numerical one. Simple. Situation, Captain Mercer. The voice continued, loud as granite. The new trauma arm is said to be handling through competent leadership. I understand that treatment is related to this. Service, not ego, that's what Dr. Hayes means. He can't be part of this hospital. Hey. It turned purple. You can't be serious. I am the main resident. I am a Yale student. Graduated. You will leave. The soldier gives orders to the hospital staff. Politics. He turned to Thorne, raised his eyes. He begged him. Mr. Thorne, tell him. Tell him. This is stupid. I will bring the highest payment codes in the department. Thorne. He adjusted his glasses and looked. Meredith set sail with her ships. Across glowing in strong fluorescent lights. He looked at the rods, those watching Meredith in a new foundation respect. In fact, Preston, Thorne, he said coldly, your patience is happiness. The results were the lowest in hospital and its staff for 6 months, the cost is the highest. Thorne, Captain Mercer, the hospital receives the senator. We accept generosity, and we receive it. Situation. Thorne turned to Hayes. Dr. Hay, give me your license plate number. It's you. He was immediately dismissed from service. Security will get you to your safe. To collect your personal belongings. You are, should I be fired? Hayes shouted. For him. About the turtle. That's enough for me. Miller, a large seal with a red beard, walked forward, hands clasped. The legs of the breast, it was bigger than Hayes' head. It's time for it. Go ahead, doctor. Hayes looked around the room, he is eager to find a partner. Apprentices. He looked at Chloe. Chloe, he said. Tell them. Tell them how I am. Your advisor. Chloe, the new nurse. She was afraid of her shadow. A few hours ago, she took a step forward. Hayes looked dead in his eyes. You didn't recommend a doctor, she said, and in her a trembling but clear voice. You are mocking me. Me. Meredith taught me how to work. Nurse. What kind? The doctor I never wanted to be, waved. The applause began. It started with a bang, cleaning. Then the other nurses came. Then he developed paramedics. Round applause, Hayes joked. He was stripped of power. He tore up his identity card. He put the badge around his neck and placed it on top of him. The floor. Okay, said Entef. This place anyway, the ship is sinking. I'm going to one. Where to evaluate personal experiences, the talent, he said angrily, turning to leave. But he didn't see her in anger. Feet. Stumbled on the mop bucket, Gus. It's left next to the vending machine. He fell heavily in the rain. Linoleum with a sound barrier moccasin. No one helped him. No. One moved. It jumped out on his face. It burns rather than a severe humiliation. He staggered away, leaving everything he had done to her. I'm walking towards the exit. I'm really dizzy at this point, born from a wounded and broken spirit ego. As the automatic doors behind me closed. For him, the tension in the room eased. At this point, tears really flowed from my eyes. Meredith wasn't happy. She looked at him. She walked away, an expression of silent sadness on her face. She knew that hatred was a heavy burden for her. He would wear it, and Hayes had to wear it. For a long time. Captain Mercer walked. For her, the fearsome warrior, he softened, his eyes narrowed before him. Mission accomplished, Lieutenant, he whispered. It's not right, Elias, you have to do it, she said, using his first name. I was ready to go. I know, Mercer said. That's why I wanted it. Let her stay. The world has had enough. Politicians. We have a shortage of heroes. Mr. Thorne cleared his throat, she is approaching in fear. Mrs. Sullivan, Meredith, of course. The interruption has been cancelled. We will be. Your Honor. Indeed, if you wish, Your Honor. Go back to your workplace. In fact, we can discuss an increase. One important thing. Meredith looked at Thor. The emergency room on the battlefield for 15 years, she looked at her hips, the source of much pain and now so much more whatever. I'm not going back to my old days, Mr. Thorne, the Meredith. Fitera e Thornet case. Oh, I see. After you know how. I have been treated, as the floor nurse, Meredith, fixed it. Point out the damage. I'm too slow. For the time being, Hayes was right about it. One thing. My feet slow me down. She looked at Chloe and the other young people. Interns. But my mind is quick, she said. I want to implement the training program. I love these nurses and this education. How can residents cope with the terrible situation? Of course. Not a textbook type of trauma, but a traumatic trauma. I want to teach them what to do when the lights go out. It fails to come out and absorb. He smiled, relief welling up inside him. Director of Clinical Training, who yours? Mention your salary. Meredith. I smiled. I want a new coffee machine. Rest room. Good. And Gus. Get paid. You're done, Thorne said. The rain stopped briefly in Seattle. A rare sunny afternoon. A small crowd. Outside the newly renewed meeting Providence General West Wing. Red ribbon is on. Introduction. Meredith was standing on the stage. She was wearing a dark blue dress. She didn't hide her treachery either. Leaning on a thin black rod silver glove, a gift from a Senator Sterling. The captain was sitting in the front row. Mercer, his wife, and 2 teenage sons, the girls. Beside them was a guy wearing a suit. "She's wearing a new dress," and Chloe, now the head nurse of the emergency room, told me. Meredith spoke into the microphone, a strong, intense, rough voice. The wounds are ugly, and these are the signs. Damage." She looked at the people. "But I studied in the Korangal Valley, and I learned that the wounds in this hospital are painful. Just make sure you survive. They are proof that you waited for him. Something." She turned from the new table. "Above the door." He didn't say. "Sterling's arm. For the senator. Perseverance," bright letters it says, "Lieutenant Meredith Sullivan, Injury Center." "Not for me," Meredith said, shedding tears, eyes. "This goes out to every nurse who walks around as a scoundrel." He went home after a 12-hour shift. This was for those who hold the hands of the dead when the family can't be there. This for the unseen. She took it. Giant scissors. "Duty calls," she whispered. "Wait. That box tape. This." The crowd applauded. And somewhere go back, the turtle's spirit is gone. Forever, replaced by the legend that it was always like that. As the crowd continued to pour in, Captain Mercer stepped forward. He took her hand and kissed it. "Director, are you ready for the rounds?" he asked. Meredith held her back straight. She smiled at her stick. Her smile, it illuminates the darkest space. "Captain, I am always ready," she returned. And he went to the hospital. Simple steps, a boring walk. There was no sound of voice. It was a weak heartbeat. Hospital. What a powerful memory. According to him, we never read books. A nurse or a cover on the way. Dr. Hayes, there is no broken woman, but Captain Mercer without a warrior who saved his life. It makes you wonder how many heroes there are. Every day passes by like a blur, a plain face, waiting for them. Time to shine. Meredith's story proves it. True strength has nothing to do with speed. You can run. It's about you. Land while other people flee. Karma didn't just hit Dr. Hay. This started with a struggle. Boots. If this story has affected you, or if you are a hero worthy of honor in your life, please click the like button. This will help us share these important stories world. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a moment. A matter of justice. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated before? Is everyone wrong? I really want to hear your story. Until next time, stay strong. And continue to praise the true heroes.